Here we are at episode 2. Episode 1, things went worryingly well. Today the hard work starts. We've got to start prepping and sanding and finishing the metalwork and the wood and actually getting this gun into a working-ish condition before we start refining it later on. I don't know which I'm going to start with, but either way, the work does start now. So where to start? Wood or metal? Well, I can't decide, so let's leave it up to fate. Heads for wood, tails for metal. Tails it is. Well, I was honestly hoping for wood first, to be honest, because as much as it's a bigger job, at least it's with one bit. This, there is a lot. First things first, let's try and remove some of the bluing, some of the patina, some of the crap from the outside of this gun. And for that, this is a proper long form job, just a bit of sandpaper. Right, look at this. Look at that. Well, which goes to show how much crap was on the outside of this gun. Unfortunately, at this point, what you'll start to see, A, is how much rust is truly there, and B, is how bad these barrels truly were when they were made. Don't do this at home. That's a certain sort of thing. Not unless you've got a set of wall thickness gauges and internal bore gauges to see whether this actually has enough meat to take off. The answer is, it's probably got just about. However, we're going to get it aesthetic. Nice, then test it, and then see whether it was all worth it, if we're actually allowed to shoot it or not, whether it's just going to blow our heads off. This thing about familiarity with tools, and the more you use a tool, the better you will be with it. It seems there's something very familiar about this movement. It comes very naturally to me. I feel like a 4-ball would be more appropriate, to be honest, Sash. So now we're starting to see the actual quality of this barrel being what it really is, and the answer is less so. If you put a bit of 1000 grit over a Beretta or Browning barrel, what you'll get is beautiful shiny metal. What you get here is all of the lack of finish. But we're not here to complain. Oh wait, it's black from the Brink. All right, it really doesn't take a lot of time to actually get it to this sort of miserable stage. And by miserable stage, I mean it's miserable because you actually suddenly see all of the dents, all of the large amounts of pitting that's on there. And at this point, we're going to move to a block and carry on. The evident concern always, like with working on guns like this, is they are just crap. It's nice in its own way, but the barrel is hugely bored inside. The externals are just a bit crap. And as much as it's going to look nice when we're finished, I suppose it was on the Brink, wasn't it? Clues in the name. Thanks, Gunstar. So I've come to a bit of a conclusion that actually what we're going to do with this barrel is we're going to leave it silver. We're going to keep some of the patina in the background. And actually that's going to be the mixture of shiny new without having to, because if we make it completely shiny, that's going to be almost impossible. We're going to have no barrel left. And then if we make it re-blue it's never going to be that nice because you've still got all of the scars in the background, so it's going to be a mix. But if we kind of do a hybrid, I like a hybrid. Actually, I retract that. I'm going to brown it. Well, we're getting near there. Black hands, black clothes, pretty standard for any of this kind of thing. But you can see the quality of the finish on this gun really is tip top, What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the vise. Once it's in the vise, I'm going to get on it a little bit harder with some slightly higher grit, see if we can put a bit of a polish on, then stick it over the mop. More importantly, with these flat surfaces, it's almost impossible to do down here. It's all right taking sort of the thick crud off, but to do a nice job, we are going to need to lock it in a vise. So, to the workshop. Vise, polish, assess, brown, next. Whoever we finished it before already has taken quite a bit of the original engraving and proof stamping off of it when they polished it. So we're trying not to do that again. It's going to be the problem with refurbing anything too much. So essentially trying to avoid it. So filing flat and then just rolling over the top ever so slightly there to try and avoid that, because it'd be a real shame to lose much more of the originality than we're going to ruin. All right. So the Shushan method is a little bit heathen, but it's also a good way of showing up any high spots. So as long as it's not too high grade, I don't really care. And like I said, the gun's valueless and probably scrap after we're done anyway, so let's enjoy it. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to chuck this in the lathe, and where that front has a little bit of contouring, if you like, we're just going to make that flat. Yeah, I cheated. Who doesn't have a lathe at home? All right, polish and wheel, and let's move on to the next bit. Ding dong. That's one large bit polished. Let's move on and do these trigger guards. So far, so good. Fingers crossed. So we did a quick number on this floor plate, but actually we're going to finish that in the gun so we can smelt it into with the wood nicely. And this is about the only place where we can start to get creative. This is a non-structural or non-integral piece of metal, and like just about everything else to that go because it's so goddamn basic. So we're going to take this back to a high polish and then play with it. But it's, well, I wish it was as easy as that really. It's obviously not. An opportunity to right the wrongs of the past and perhaps add a touch of refinement to this. Just a touch. I mean, I've hooped that out and taken out that big divot in there and slowly work my way around to sort of, we'll work on this inside edge and then probably go around the outside and just close up that bevel. Again, I don't want us to invest too much time in turning it into something it's not. At the same time, it's nice to spend a little bit of time on something that, like I said, isn't structurally integral. I rarely ever use 60 grit, but in these instances, just need to speed things along. So we've given this a light polish. Now I was there chatting to Sash going, oh, you know, how could we really make this exciting? Oh, wouldn't it be lovely if we could send it to an engraver? We don't really have time to send it to an engraver. Oh, it's not really worth the investment to send it to an engraver. Why don't you just engrave it yourself? Well, the answer is I've never engraved anything in my life apart from screw heads. So, you know, when we make a new screw and you put the star in the head to make it blend in with the gun. This might be a bit different. Potential for success? Really, really minimal. Potential for catastrophe? High. Welcome to Back from the Brink. Let's go. Probably should have thought of a pattern first, really, shouldn't we? Alright. So far, pretty awful. Probably should have just gone for a TGS. Might just go for a TGS. I reckon I could file that out. Let's file that out. All remnants of that horror story are pretty much gone now. That's good, isn't it?
I thought that whole segment was quite inspirational.
Well, I'm glad that you felt like that was inspirational. We are at a beautiful point that we can go back and we don't have to do this. And we can just chalk this up to experience. I'm going to carry on with the tossing of the coin theme. We're going to toss a coin whether we do a TGS or whether we just leave it plain and remember that it was a bad damn idea in the first place. One thing that does upset me before I flip this, that my son will never know what this is. He'll think this is old money. But in fact, this is a 1983 pound coin. But tails. We didn't even decide what's what first. Let's go. Heads is a go, tails is not a go. No, let's change that. Best out of 3. That was a heads. Tails. Alright, now the decider, okay? Amen. Heads.
I believe in you.
This is going to be crap, isn't it?
Nope.
I know my limitations. I'm not an engraver, obviously. I reckon give me 3 years in a pneumatic graver, I might be alright, but...
Honestly, my biggest concern is that you're going to do such a good job that you're going to get offered millions elsewhere to do this full time.
Well, my problem is, as much as we're doing a bit of a farcical job to this gun, at least everything we're doing is of a decent quality standard, you know? I don't like this idea. Sorry.
Oh, come on. That's probably what the first man before he climbed Everest said. And now look at the world.
I'm not sure if that's in any way linked to this.
It's looking a bit boring.
Alright, fine. I'm going to flip one last time. Heads is engraving. Tails is not. I'll tell you what, a gambling man would have had that down. Let's go. Alright. We're not TGSing, but I am going to come up with a vague idea before we go. Let's get some inspiration. How's that for inspiration? You know, I'm just going to knock that out with a single graver in 5 minutes. My idea currently is that we put a fleur-de-lis on there because it's a French gun. Logical? A fleur-de-lis should be simple and it might look a little lopsided. But that's part of the fun. We're going to go big, we're going to go bold, and it's probably going to be pretty crap, but that's part of the joy, isn't it? This is a mistake in every way. More of a mistake than the last one. You know, not only does this now have to be vaguely symmetrical, oh my god, I didn't even scratch it in nicely. It's bad, isn't it? This really is an insult to all engravers everywhere. And I am sorry. I am an alright pencil sketch artist. But as you're about to see, I have zero engraving capabilities. I'm just going to bring up some music for the occasion. Hold on just 1 second.
I honestly feel like your whole life has led up to this one moment.
Do you? You could say that about every moment. Your whole life does lead up to every moment. Some better than others. Some you would repeat, some you most definitely would not. So, I'm in two minds here. And I had a little pray halfway through this and I said, look, please let this go well because I spend my life slating other people's engraving work. But I mean, there's got to be a caveat that the people who engrave guns generally are pretty professional engravers. All lasers are machines. This, well, let's say it's not inspiring me into a career change. Using a chisel as a graver is not correct. But it's speeding certain aspects up, and well, it's not making much of a worse job of it. To be fair, I've got some silver steel. I might knock up a couple of gravers quick, just to finish this off. All right, final touches. We're going to try for a bit of a silver penny finish, or at least an antique finish, on the inside of the graver. Actually, I tell you what, it looks real nice just with that. So this Phillips cold blue, if you rub it onto dirty steel, ends up with this weird colour hardening effect look, and if you get it on your skin, it itches like a mother. So we don't do that, do we? We wear protective gloves and glasses. Yeah. But actually, I mean, don't look. But then what I'm going to do is to create what we call a silver penny finish, sort of, apart from using engraver's black. I'm just going to run my paper back over the top of it. Maybe we'll do another layer. I don't think it's quite at the Boston Co level yet, but I feel like Bakewell may be calling me for a job. Well, it's been a bit of a polishing episode, you know. I've spent a lot of time prepping metal and getting stuff ready. And, you know, with a slight deviation into art. And that's kind of got me thinking. I think I'm going to take this gun down a slightly different route. Obviously, we're never going to stick to what we thought originally. It's back from the brink. But for now, take care. I'm going to get all this metal prepped, and I'll see you next time.